Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, February 18th. It's just past 10 a.m. We're going live here in Phoenix. We're going to catch up on everything going on, hopefully answer a few of your questions. Stay tuned. What's up, everybody? It's Greg Corbett with the AZ Lifestyle Group right here in Phoenix, Arizona. If this is your first time to this channel and you're looking to find out everything you need to know about what it's like living in and or moving to the Phoenix metro area, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new video. We are helping people from all over when it comes to finding the best places and neighborhoods to live here, and we absolutely love it. So if you're even thinking about making a move and you need any assistance whatsoever, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, however you want to get a hold of us. We got your back when it comes to moving to the Phoenix metro. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's bring our good friend and partner into the show. Rudy, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. And yourself?
I'm doing good. It's been a crazy week, and we're trying to get every week is crazy. I think it seems like everything's been crazy since last year, and we're just every week's a new week, and we're plugging away.
Yeah, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. So that's why we're here on a weekly basis to inform our viewers of what's changing, what we're seeing out in the streets. You know, you and I are boots on the ground here, and a lot of our watchers and viewers are out of state, so they rely on us to give them up-to-date information. So yeah. I'm just looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, I'm happy to report that our power is on and that it's not snowing and it's not freezing temperatures. And I apologize to those people who are going through that. It does not sound fun. It sounds horrible. But we've talked to a few people who are going through it right now. But man, it's hitting the country all over the place. Between the Northwest and obviously all of Texas. And I'm sure you still have family and friends who are going through that right now as well. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so pipes bursting, power out, water, no water. The good news, I guess, if there is any, is that the residents, they knew about it ahead of time. So Everyone knew that by Sunday, Monday, this storm would hit. So I know that my family and friends, they all stocked up and they were ready to go. I don't think anyone anticipated the power to be out this long because my parents who live in Houston, they just got power today. It's Thursday, and they lost power, I believe, Sunday night, Monday morning. Yeah. I've got a few closings that were scheduled this week in both Dallas and Houston that have been postponed because there's no power in the houses. Yeah. And luckily, people, my friends and family, they're all safe, luckily, but I have heard of some tragic situations that have happened from people not having any power and being out in the cold and unfortunately being in very, very bad situations. So our hearts go out to everyone out there.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's rough. I can't imagine being without power. I know people are trying to do the best they can, but you rely so heavily, not only, making sure that your phones are charged, being able to connect with people online, and just having the ability. And like, if you're not prepared for it, obviously your heat's the most important thing. And if you're relying on that, then and you don't have it, man, life changes quickly, and you got to be prepared. It does sound like I'm hearing a lot of positive stories of people out there in support, trying to lend a helping hand, be very neighborly, be very giving with their time and with their resources. So when you have these type of situations come out, it brings out the best in people, thankfully, most of the time. So that's good. But it's definitely doesn't sound fun. On the positive side, if you're looking in Arizona, we don't have to worry about that right now. So that part's good, I guess.
Yeah, I feel a little guilty with all my friends and family asking me how it was looking here. And I guess hindsight being 2020, I would have maybe offered for stay with us. However, flights were being canceled. I'm sure you don't want to leave your house vacant while pipes are bursting, or power's out. So it's nice to look out the window here and see nothing but beautiful weather. You just kind of
it was kind of breezy here last night. So I think there was a bunch of wind blowing leaves in my pool.
Yeah, me too. I had to
that was annoying.
Pine needles out of.
That was annoying, Rudy.
It's bad.
I think I'm ready to move.
Well, don't move. No,
No,
stay
I'm
here.
just kidding.
I want you here.
I hear it's a seller's market, Rudy. I hear it's a seller's market. I can list my house and get $100,000 over ask price right now.
Boy, and we've got some stories, first-hand stories from last weekend on
Yeah.
something like that. So yeah, it's the problem is, yeah, sure, you can get $100,000 above, but are you going to have to pay $100,000 to buy? So
Yeah.
where do you draw the line?
It's crazy, and obviously we joke around a little bit about it from a perspective of coming in here and trying to make a decision on something, and especially when you're coming in from out of state and you're either have only a couple days to make a decision, or you're trying to make a decision from doing we're sending we're doing live calls like FaceTime calls and sending GoPro footage of tours of houses to try to allow people to take a look and make a educated decision when they're buying from afar. It's challenging, and then to add on top of it that you're competing with so many people. It's not a fun process. I know we've had a couple people reach out and be like, "Hey, we're watching you guys live. It's kind of a scary thing what you guys are talking about," and it is. It is. I won't sugarcoat it. We're going through some crazy times right now, and there's a lot of competition. We did have a success story over the weekend on someone who came in. We looked at probably over the weekend probably about 12 houses. Found the favorite one, and we went in hard and aggressive and did everything we could as a team effort to present the best possible offer, and we got accepted. So and Rudy, you were a big part of that, and I appreciate it. But so talk people through kind of again the process on what it takes in order to make that happen. It's not easy.
Well, we had, like you mentioned, it was one of our viewers who reached out to us a while back, moving from out of state here. And just like everyone, we want to inform you and empower you. We don't want to scare you. So our job is to make sure that you're fully aware, eyes wide open into what this market, really the market across the country is looking like. But here specifically, we want to make sure that you're fully aware of what's going on. So yeah, this individual, obviously talked to us about what his needs were and what he was looking for price point wise. And, you showed him a couple of houses. They finally found one in Chandler, I believe, that they really liked, and put an offer. And I spoke to the listing agent. And here's why it's so important that your lender talks to the listing agent. The listing agent actually had our buyer confused with another buyer. So the listing agent called me with our buyer's name. Everything was perfect up front, but then she started mentioning a few things about our buyer that she wanted clarification on, and it was absolutely totally wrong. It wasn't even our buyer. So
you could probably, this is kind of a funny story because you mentioned this. They thought it was a St. Louis Cardinals player.
Yeah, so there's a player out there for the St. Louis Cardinals who is looking to buy in the Valley, and
sorry, dude, we beat you.
Sorry, man. We'll watch you on TV. We'll cheer for you. Well, the listing agent thought that our buyer was this St. Louis Cardinals player, and and the seller works for a mortgage company, so the seller understands the complexity of professional athletes. I've done a few in the past where their income is just very, very tricky sometimes. Yeah. Albeit they do make a lot of money, there is some complexity to their situation. Sure. So anyway, the seller, the listing agent, they just wanted to feel comfortable that our buyer, this St. Louis Cardinal player, was going to make it, was going to be okay. And I quickly made sure that they understood that this was totally a confusion. This was totally someone else, and that our buyer, I gave the listing agent the warm and fuzzies and informed them, and we won the offer. Yeah. And I joke around with our buyer, and I tell him, you should be on one of these calls to let everybody know how to win an offer on the first try. Yeah. Because sometimes that is very hard to do. So hats off to you, Greg, for doing an amazing job, and hats off to just our buyer for being on top of it, and just an overall success story.
Yeah, and again, it's a team effort. Like, we all have to do our part. I think from our client's perspective, I think he understood the situation as well. He's educated in what's going on in the market. He's kind of paid attention to what we're telling him, and it was easy for us to be on the same page and be like, he really loved the house. He wanted to come in and be aggressive on it as well, and wanted to, make sure that like it was putting his best foot forward, and also, not having to potentially go through this again and like continue going down this path. And everything he did, I was in support of, and then we had like little things that we were like, hey, strategy wise, let's try this, and this. In the end, I think we even saved a little bit more than what he would have originally gone in at. So, but yeah, I mean, and there's those cases, and we're super excited for him. And then we also have other cases. We had another situation where we also were very aggressive. Another buyer who's very educated on what's going on, has been in town a couple times, taken a look. They also put in an offer over the weekend. And to be fair, this was like a $30K over list offer they put in. Sounds like, per the listing agent, an offer came in that was like in the over 70K rate, and then there might have been even more offers that were above us. So that's what we're dealing with. That's a kind of the situation. I don't think I'd be comfortable telling him to go to that price based on where we knew we were at the time. But now that's a new comp, and now that's another thing that potentially somebody's going to have to deal with when somebody lists their house next. So it's this constant moving pieces, moving parts. And let me bring this up, Rudy, because I like when this comes from our MLS, and I'm not sure if you can see, but I'm gonna bring it up here on screen, and let's just go through the numbers real quick. So this comes from our MLS once a month, and it's kind of the stats we're looking at. So we've got monthly sales. I'll go through it. The first couple don't really matter too much. The new inventory is down 15% from last year. It's up from last month, so that's a good sign. Total inventory, this is crazy to me. So total inventory from last year is down 41%. Like that, I mean, that kind of shows you what we're up against and why there's so much activity. There's just so many more buyers than there are sellers. Let's see. Month supply, we're still at around a 1 month of supply of inventory. It's ticking up a little bit just because we're getting into the, in January, you start seeing a few sellers pop out after the holidays. List prices are up 10% year over year, and the median is up 12%. And then sales prices, again, up 20%, 439. Sale price forecast is to go up to 451. So these are all like important numbers to look at and kind of show you what we're really dealing with from a market perspective. And again, this is not to scare you. This is to prepare you so that when you come here, you're not surprised with like, hey, I wanted to look at a house. I'm going to an open house. There's like 40 other people here at the same time looking at the same house that I'm in love with. How do I make this work without wanting to just like completely give up?
Yeah, and that's why we're here, and that's why we are 100% transparent and 100% upfront on what to expect, because I've mentioned it on a few calls in the past, but this over list price situation, if the house appraised for less and you still want to buy the house, then you're going to have to come up with that different whatever. So that, $70,000 difference, if for whatever reason the house appraises for $70,000 less, the buyer would have to come in with their down payment based on the lower price, and then on top of that add another $70,000 out of pocket.
Right.
So this is a very extreme case. So I wouldn't say that this is the norm, but it's definitely not unheard of for 70, even more above. So you're kind of towing the line on like, is this normal or is this an anomaly? But
and appraisers are very conservative. I mean, they're paid to make sure that they don't go over value, and they get dinged hard and potentially could lose their license if they end up over appraising a property. So they're very conservative, and they're not being like, hey, it's 2021 and the market's crazy, so we're just going to give the value whatever we want. It's not like it was back in the bubble days back in 2006, 7, and 8, where you could get an appraisal for any amount. It didn't matter. And so now the appraisals are coming in. So, and actually this is really important, because in a comparison to this, if you're looking to be like, hey, this is another bubble and the bubble's going to burst and all the prices are going to come back down, hear me out on this, because if the appraisers are coming in low and people are spending more and more money, they're putting more money down on the house, those people aren't walking away. This is not a zero money down, buy a house, and if I can't afford to pay it, I'm just out and let it foreclose. That's not happening. So this is not a bubble that's going to burst because of this, because people have significant money into these houses now.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because this isn't the zero money down, you're rolling in closing costs. Now you're actually upside down on the house when you move in, because your loan is higher than what you bought it for, which was part of the debacle back in 08, 09. There's no more of those negative amortization loans where you're just paying a small fraction of what you should be paying and your balance is actually increasing, which is the most ridiculous loan that I've ever heard of in my life. But people have some serious skin in the game, man. You're not going to walk away from a house that you just shelled out, not only your down payment plus an additional $50,000 to get it. So, and on top of that, homeowners currently, they have a ton of equity. So if you find yourself in a financial pinch and for whatever unfortunate reason you have to sell your house, you're going to get some money out of that house. You're going to be one of those sellers that is benefiting from this market.
Right.
So, and I'm glad you touched on the whole bubble thing, because I get asked a lot about the bubble. Are we in another bubble? There's actually an article that just came out from a local media company here in Phoenix. Actually, Arizona is number 10 of it by 2030 projected home price increase. Arizona is number 10 on that list. So over the next 9 years, price appreciation nationwide, we're living in the state that's projected to be number 10 in price appreciation. So that's telling us that, hey, this isn't going to stop. It might slow down a little bit because interest rates are eventually going to increase and normalize. So it's going to slow down some buyers and create a little bit of a affordability item where they're going to have to maybe buy cheaper homes that they couldn't because of higher interest rates. But yeah, I don't see a bubble. Back to that point, I don't see a bubble happening. Anything can happen, but the signs aren't necessarily pointing.
So, and again, I mean, good and bad, because if you're a person who's like, hey, I can qualify, I can purchase a home, I just don't want to buy and then all of a sudden have completely negative equity tomorrow. We don't think that's going to be the case. So from that news, it's positive. From the person who is day by day getting priced out of the market and they can't afford it, and they're like, hey, I just need some sort of sign of hope that I might have the ability to purchase a home in the near future with some sort of downturn. From that point of view, it's obviously negative because we're not seeing that. It doesn't look like that's on the horizon.
I actually just did a scenario for someone who they were in the market about 3 years ago and they didn't buy because back then, 3 years ago, they thought we were in a bubble.
Yeah.
And rates back then were in the low fours, low to mid fours. Yep. So I actually ran some numbers for this person on what the price of the house used to be back then at 4.5%. And then we worked on the appreciation of it. So a higher price point now, but now at like a lower interest rate.
Yep.
And surprisingly enough, even though the price of the house is higher, because of the rate being lower, his monthly payment would actually be lower today than it was then. So what I'm saying is, what I mean by this is that if prices are going to continue going up, which they will, and interest rates are going to continue to go up, that's just a recipe for monthly payments also going to be going up. So if you're expecting a bubble to happen and you're going to be waiting on that magic bubble to pop, then you're probably going to be waiting a very long time and you're going to be kicking yourself for not buying now. However, I'm not saying that now is the time to buy for everybody. It just depends on your situation because of a lot of different factors that are involved in this market. Now might not be the time to buy for you if it's not right.
Well, and you also made a very, very good point when it comes to, I think a lot of people just get sticker shock when they look at pricing and they're like, I would never pay that. How is that worth that? But if it's really, the comparison with the interest rate is like, what are you paying per month? Because if you're going to take out a mortgage, I mean, it's one thing if you're paying cash for something, but if you're taking out a mortgage and your monthly payment is actually the same, even at the higher list price than it was with the higher interest rate a couple years ago, then you're pretty much paying the same thing. So, I think people need to maybe be like, okay, because, shoot, I'm guilty of it too. Like you just see stuff and you're just like, wow, that just seems not right when that comes to that sticker shock. And I think making those comparisons and be like, hey, look, you could have got this. Let's take you back in time. If you would have bought this house at this price, at this interest rate, and this is what you would have paying versus this is what you're paying now, then I think that eases a little bit of people's minds when it comes to making these decisions and being like, look, it might not be as bad as I think it is.
Yeah, and the good news with today's interest rates is fingers crossed, you never have to touch that loan ever again. Like you don't have to refinance down the road unless you want to maybe do a cash out and do some debt consolidation, which is another part of what I do for some of my clients, help them out with some debt consolidation, maybe pay off some stuff and help improve their wealth long term. But yeah, the benefit is that you get a house today, you secure a low interest rate, you never have to touch that loan ever again. You just pay it down and pay it off or whatever you want to do down the road. But that's another positive. Yeah.
No, I hear you. If anybody's watching and you want to chime in, feel free. We'd love to hear from you. Obviously, it's crazy times, and we appreciate people taking the time to listen to what we have to say. But we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear what's going on. So feel free to chime in if you like. Rudy, like I'm trying to think. Obviously, we continue to hit the market updates, that type of thing. Anything else? I'm trying to think of anything else. I know we've just been crazy busy with all this stuff. Like, what else is going on in Arizona that you're seeing that we probably should keep people informed of?
Well, right now it's a great time to visit. If you're on the fence and if you have the ability to just kind of explore neighborhoods, you and I have been on a couple of Zoom calls here recently of folks that are visiting this time of the year next month. So I think that would be my biggest recommendation. If you're on the fence, come check it out. Talk to Greg and I. We'll give you some recommendations on some neighborhoods, or if you just want to kind of explore and then reach out to us after the fact, then I think that would be right now is a great time. There's a lot of activities going on, and thankfully, COVID related, it's, obviously we're still being very careful, but it's getting better. So I think if you're fortunate enough to make a visit, I think that would be great.
And we're at least open for business. Like you can still come here and enjoy yourself. You can still go out to eat, even if it's not at full capacity. It's open for business for the most part. And I think most people are appreciative of that and like coming here for that aspect. And I know people here living here appreciate that as well. So that part is extremely positive. And like you said, Rudy, for those of you who are coming out and for those of you who are still trying to figure out what area might be best for you, and you're like, okay, well, I've got 2 to 3 days and I've got to figure it out and I want to drive from all the way on the West Valley to the East Valley. Like, we'll try to narrow that down for you a little bit and just be like, hey, here are the areas you might want to focus on. Here are a couple maybe hot spots that you might want to drive on your own to go check out and get a feel for how things look. And then when you kind of get that feel, then we'll start maybe popping into a couple houses just so you can take a look at what that looks like in person. And I know once you do that, it makes it easier if you do have to go back home and then maybe start shopping from home, where we can go in, run the camera, say, hey, here are the important things that you've let us know, and let's cover all those in detail on camera, because shopping from pictures is impossible. Like, pictures just don't do anything justice at all.
Well, and absolutely, you're 100% accurate on that. And one thing I will say as a new guy moving from out of state and coming here is that we're in the desert. So the dynamics and the aesthetics of neighborhoods is going to differ based on where you're looking. And this is, again, just coming from from someone who I wasn't sure what to expect when we were looking at houses when we first moved here. But different neighborhoods are going to look differently. You're going to get a different feel because of the desert feel, the style of homes. You might be really, you might love a house on in a picture, but then when you actually get to the neighborhood, it might not be what you expected, or maybe it's better than what you expected. So yeah, there's just nothing that can.
It works both
change
ways
that.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I was doing this the other day for someone, and you look at a house. A lot of times you'll see a house and like the house looks great, and then you go and you're like, okay, well let's go look around in the neighborhood, and like, okay, well the neighborhood's not that bad, and you're like right near this busy street, and those are the things that like is really hard to shop. Whether it's using our website or if you're still looking on Zillow or any of the other affiliate sites. It's the little details that we need to get out there and share with you to kind of help guide you in the right direction.
Yeah, and then you get on the highway, drive, and pretend that you're going to work at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m., whatever.
Yeah.
Just kind of get a feel for the highways and get a feel for the traffic. I mean, stuff that obviously we all know you can't replicate without actually being here.
And traffic wise, like there's still plenty of people on the road. I mean, I see areas that are like, okay, it's still a decent amount of traffic, but it's probably all comparison. Like there's never really any stop and go. It's pretty much you just have a lot of people on the highways and it's moving the way it should. So thankfully from even now during our spring months where we typically have so many people here visiting, we probably don't have as many people as normal. Traffic's down. Again, still people not working at their offices, still working from home. So traffic-wise, it's not too bad right now.
This is my favorite time, really is. And coming from Houston and Dallas, where traffic was atrocious, and really, I sometimes didn't even feel like leaving the house because it was so bad. This is awesome. Like, I don't care where I need to go to here. The traffic is really not bad at all.
Yeah. Are we going to have spring training? I forget. I think it's
Yes.
happening. I don't know. It's probably at limited capacity and all that stuff, but I'm sure they'll make it fun for those here. Make it an interesting and enjoyable experience.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought it up because tickets go on sale, I think, tomorrow or Saturday.
Okay.
So I'm going to buy a couple tickets. It's actually with the limited capacity might be nice just because I've never been to a game before here, spring training, but with our family, you get a little bit more room to kind of spread out a little bit. So I'm looking forred to that. Yeah,
it's crazy because last year, we had spring training for a week before they shut down. So, and then you'd moved here the year before. It's crazy to think that you hadn't been to a spring training game yet, but
I know.
Yeah.
I know the spring training and the Waste Management Open, two things that I definitely have on my list to do. Unfortunately, like everyone else's plans, COVID just kind of threw a little monkey wrench in it.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to spring training this year, for sure.
By the way, how's the family? I'm sure everybody's wondering who watches the show. Obviously, they've heard in the past couple weeks you guys were struggling a little bit. How are you guys doing?
My kids took it like champs. They were down for a day or two, day and a half, just in pain and just not feeling great. I was down for the count for about 3 or 4 days, and my wife is the one who took it the hardest. She was down for 3 or 4 days, and then she still had some lingering effects afterwards. Her problem is that if she's not hungry or not thirsty, she's not one to drink water because you need to. She's one to just not eat, not drink, and obviously that's really bad when you're like sick. So she got severely dehydrated. So if there's anything I can say to anyone out there listening is that if you're in the middle of COVID, even though you don't feel like it and you can't taste anything, please eat and drink as much as you can because your body's going to
make sure you clarify. Water.
Stay away from the Cuervo.
I mean, because I would be like, drink whatever you can. All right, pass that bottle, Rudy.
Yeah, you got to kill that. Got to kill that virus. Got to drown that virus somehow.
That's right.
Drink as much water as you can because you're going to be hurting if you don't.
Yeah. No, it's good advice, and I hadn't heard that from a lot of people because you had mentioned not only the staying hydrated and drinking water, but somebody had mentioned in like just getting out of bed and moving around because if you're lethargic and you're not feeling good, typically most times when you're sick, the goal is to like stay rested, stay in bed, keep laying down. It sounds like you got some information that's like, hey, that might not be the best for COVID. Get up. Move your body around so it doesn't just sit there.
Yeah, and I hadn't even. So it was about 3 or 4 days in, and one of my clients, she's a nurse. Another client is a doctor, and they both told me the same thing
Yep.
because I told them that I've had it for a few days and I've been bedridden just because that's just kind of what you naturally think
Yeah.
you should be doing, right? Just staying in bed.
Yeah.
And I just told them that I was just so achy that I feel like I should move around, but I don't know if I should because I'm just not sure what to expect. And they both told me that lying in bed and staying in bed is the worst thing for you. If you're up for it and you can walk around, do some stretching, maybe just kind of get the blood flowing, then you should do that.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started doing that, it didn't happen right away, but I started feeling much better.
Awesome. Well, I'm happy to hear that. I know everybody who's watching is happy to hear you guys recovered quickly and can hopefully move forward and not have to deal with it again anytime soon. And that goes for everybody out there. I mean, I know a lot of us haven't had to deal with it. A lot of us have. It's been a combination, but it's crazy times, and we're doing our best to get through all that. But Rudy, we're past the 10:30 mark now. We don't have any other questions come in, so we'll start wrapping up. But again, we thank you to everybody who's watching. Number one, number two, if you have any questions, comments, need any advice, any information, please reach out to us. I'll go ahead and put up our contact info again on the screen. We're here to help you, and we're here to guide you in the right direction. Try to help. If you're looking to make a move to Arizona, try to make this as smooth as possible. Between Rudy, myself, and a bunch of other support that we even have on our side, we're going to try to make that possible for you. So let us know. Hey, Rudy, you want to add anything?
Yeah, part of buying a house, this is the biggest purchase of your life, is to have the right team on your side. So I just unequivocally feel that we are your team, and you need to, if you have any questions, you just need to reach out to us so that we can help you out and answer those questions, relieve some concerns, and help you be as savvy of a buyer as possible in this chaotic market.
And try to make it as smooth as possible. It's going to be a challenge. Be prepared for it, but we'll try to make it as easy as we can on you. So
yeah.
All right, brother. Well, I appreciate it as always. Good to have you on. Thank you again to everybody who's watching. Enjoy your Thursday. Have a good weekend if we don't talk to you prior. We will see you guys next week. Take care, everybody.